so I'll keep it snappy and short. First off, I'd like to invite my panelists up on stage. May I please invite all four of them up, please? We have with us today Bianca Sringwini, we have Diana Ho, Roxanne, and Wayne Dale. I'll just give a quick introduction, and you can see their complete bios on the LogiSYM website if you need more information. Closest to me is Roxanne. She's a Senior Director of Corporate Supply Chain Asia Pacific at Infineon. She's been in the organization for several years now. Highly passionate about gender diversity, and she's actually motivated a Women of Willpower network in Asia Pacific region, which we will get into later. Next to Roxanne is Bianca Sringwini. Bianca is our subject matter expert for today. She is the Head of Diversity and Inclusion Asia Pacific at AIG. She currently oversees the strategy and implementation for diversity and inclusion programs for the entire region. And next to Bianca is Diana Ho, who's a very familiar face. A lot of you already know her, so I'll keep it really short. Diana, a highly experienced lady in the supply chain industry. She works for one of the largest manufacturing companies in the world, Schneider Electric. She has more than 25 years of experience, and more than 15 of those years have been in senior management capacity. Interestingly enough, she started her career in HR, and now she's leading supply chain for the region and looks over almost 500 people in her business. And finally, but definitely not the least, we can't leave out the only man on this panel on diversity, Wayne Dale. Wayne Dale, highly experienced HR and board level executive. He was, in his last position, he was SVP for Human Resources for Siba Logistics, a company which needs no introduction.
Since we have a panel on diversity, okay, let's look for myself. So I'm French, woman in leadership, working for a German company out of Singapore. So how diverse can that be? So I'm running the supply chain organization for Infineon, which is a company around about 5 billion in the semiconductor industry. No need to say that we are a technology company, but step by step through the years we have recognized that supply chain is also there to help the company to develop its competitive advantage. And this is when we talk about competitive advantage that diversity will come into play, and I think this is what we will discuss through the panel and hope to interact together with you.
Thank you, Roxanne. So my name is Bianca Sringwini. I'm the head for Asia Pacific for AIG Diversity and Inclusion. In terms of diversity, I am a Brazilian who has been in Singapore for 8 years and have lived in Italy and Argentina and Brazil before. I'm married to a Brit and had a child in Singapore, so I guess that also rounds it up in terms of diversity. I have been doing diversity and inclusion for 8 years, since I've been in Singapore with American Express, and then Mercer, and now with AIG. And previous to that, I was in business development, mostly in trade. I worked for the Singapore government, and that's how I ended up for the MTI, and that's how I ended up in Singapore. So I'm very passionate about the subject, so as Manju said, I do hope to have some confrontational ideas that I can take on. So thank you.
Thank you. So for myself, I'm not as, in terms of, I'm not diversified in another way. I'm a Singaporean in Singapore, all right? I only worked in Hong Kong before and Singapore, and but in terms of my career, I think it's very diversified because I started with the sales organization. I have been doing sales, driving sales, customer care, quality, logistics, HR. So I think in terms of that, it is quite diversified, I would say. I hope I'm not Jack of all trades and none, master of none. All right. I think most of you know Schneider, and Schneider is really a 25 billion euro company, 160,000 people in more than 100 countries, with 130 acquisitions. So you imagine, we have to learn a lot of local markets, new business model, and a lot of integration of people from different backgrounds. So you can imagine the kind of geography, culture, diversification that we have. All right, thank you.
As far as my background goes, it's steel, building, construction, and lately it's been supply chain. But in New Zealand, Australia, Singapore here in Asia, touch base with that, Middle East, and also Europe. and recently a dad of 2 little boys, so pushing a pram around Singapore gives any appreciation of what it may be like for a wheelchair, and it's not as easy as people would think it to be. So sort of one of the lessons.
Thank you, ladies. Wayne? So today we are going to tackle the subject of diversity and inclusion within the context of LogiSYM, which we talked specifically about the region and maybe slightly outwards as well. When we talk about diversity, the tendency is often to think about gender or race or culture, because those are the things that we more commonly see. It's what we tend to experience in our everyday life, both in and outside of work. But diversity is so much more than that. Diversity includes, it could be ethnicity, it could be religion, it's age, it's your educational qualification, it is your organizational position within the company, it could be sexual orientation. It is a whole host of things which we don't normally talk about, or even disability, because some of the things make us uncomfortable. We don't even want to say the words handicapped.
It's clear, Wayne, that the top management has to promote the culture and give leadership. But isn't also HR to push upwards, to bring to the attention of top management that there needs to be diversity through the people selection, the looking at the merits of individuals rather than just nationality or passport? Because it's going to be both ways. The chairman will take the final decision, but he needs to have people pushing and knocking the door. And I believe it's an HR responsibility because you are experts in that area.
No. My generation, this generation don't get it. This generation does. Because they're living it. And it's not about leading it, it's living it. You need to live it and earn it in order to learn so you have the right to lead, not the other way around. And I'm passionate about it because they don't get it. Look at the executive teams and the boards of directors. And HR, I don't think, are representative of what you're trying to aspire to anyway. I just don't think that HR are well positioned to do it because I don't see them living it.
I think HR should support with making you aware of how is the status for your team, and I'm very grateful for my HR partners that they give me my statistics, be it in terms of gender, be it in terms of culture, and things like this. But at the end of the day, the business has to drive it into the organization. If my business partner comes into my meeting and bangs on the door that you should be more diverse, it's not going to help. If I set it up as a mindset in my HODs and through the organization that diversity is beneficial for them and beneficial for us, then this will start naturally. I think we started, and I will take diversity in terms of age in this way. We started a few years back to get some interns. And initially, I was very grateful to have maybe 2 of my HOD very committed to it. The rest, they say, interns, you need to train them, it takes some time, they are so juniors, they cannot deliver. No, not for me. By now, last year, each department got 2 interns because they saw the beauty of the other one having it, and down the road they get inspired, and through the organization now I get people to say, we don't have enough CV now for interns for our next program. And this is definitely not because of HR, it's because we drove it through the organization. So yes, HR is here to support, but I believe this is more than an HR program.
Sorry, I just wanted to make one comment just on something that was said about, the LGBT area or the sexual orientation area is something that probably a lot of people are uncomfortable, but also about people have very big misconceptions. It is not illegal to be gay in Singapore or in Malaysia. Okay? So one of the other parts that we need to discuss is who else gets involved. So legal needs to get involved. Procurement is a huge side that needs to get involved, and the business, and HR, and finance. So it's not, I don't think it's a one, let's get the senior leadership together and those 12 people will do by themselves. No, they won't. And you need to clear misconceptions because a lot of times people are saying something that they believe is 100% true, but it's not. So challenge those assumptions as much as you can to really uncover true diversity.
Yeah, I think all have been said, but I just try to connect everything together. I think it really takes everyone to embrace this diversity and inclusion. And I would say that it has to start from the CEO, all right, with the vision. I mean, I give you the vision. I mean, give you example. My CEO vision. He puts that diversity and inclusion is our heritage and our future. Be part of it. You know, so with this, of course, you know, the HR will have to do the communication, the processes and everything, and the business, you know, will have to drive it, frankly. Because I agree, you know, the HR, if the HR come and knock on my door and say, I have to do this or do that, I'm not convinced, but I have to be convinced. And you need to have a lot of program in terms of learning, communication, to let everyone embrace it. And what we have done is actually we have done an e-learning model, you know, where every population, everybody will do the e-learning to understand, just for gender, you know, why do we need to have gender balance? What are the benefits? You know, what are the pros and cons? You know, how do we embrace it? So it's really a journey, you know, and it involves everyone. You know, this is what I want to say.
Before we finish, we have to draw the connect between how this affects the function that is supply chain. Supplier diversity affects all of you, whether you're a 3PL or a shipper, more so if you're a shipper. What does supplier diversity mean to you? I mean, some people assume that it's just having an abundance of suppliers to choose from, but clearly it's not that simplistic. Roxanne, Diana, either of you, what would you say about it?
I would say that, you know, for me, I would look at diversity, you know, really drives innovation, you know. So in Schneider, more and more, I would say supply chain leadership is really to partner with the you know, diverse business. And in Schneider, we have gone through a lot of supply chain, transformation, I would say. And what we have done is really what you call a tailored supply chain, whereby we introduce you know, different supply chain models according to the buying behavior of the segment. Okay. Give you an example, for example, you know, like big distributors, they are more collaborative. We call it collaborative supply chain. And then they are supposed to have the, you know, a lot of stock with them, to keep a lot of stock. And we can do a lot of programs like co-planning or, you know, the EDI message, you know, and even container direct to them, you know. And this kind of programs, you will need specialized people. And then we will also move into like segment, more retail, okay, and we try to design processes to suit the business needs of the customer. So what does it mean? It means that the way we hire our talents are very different. We have to break from the norm, you know, the traditional norm of logistics hiring, because we need to make a shift, you know, to be very more diversified in terms of skill sets. You know, we need people that have more business acumen, knowing the business, understand even marketing, because they need to apply the 4 Ps, you know, to apply to really understand the customer needs, then we can design the process to suit them. So I would say that, you know, this is really innovation, thinking out of the box, no more tradition. You know, the tradition is that, you know, one size fits all. I give you this service, you know, I deliver this way to you, and that's it. Now we really think differently, and that's where the diversity comes in.
Thank you, Diana.
Right?
You have something to add to that?
I'm not quite sure it's close to the issue you were asking for, but just really on reflecting on some of the things we heard yesterday. That unfortunately we focus on the head office or city type of supply chain or logistics functions, where if you look at the trends, we're going to have mega DCs out in the rural city because that's where the land is. And my learning has been that it's the rural, regional workforce that you should be looking at, and they're fairly innovative for a start, probably more so than country people. But engaging and reflecting or mirroring the community. And examples of, you know, having adult apprentices through local polytech, female drivers through the school connection that we have, local Aboriginal elders attending our training programs, and we pay for those. So I just think we shouldn't necessarily focus solely on a city-centric, because I see that the trend is actually pushing out, and that's where the community is, and our diversity and our inclusion should represent that and mirror it, not outpace it. Should lead it, I think it should prod it, but I think we should just take stock that it's about that community and not focus on Singapore as an
Absolutely.
example, or
Agreed.
Hong Kong. Just
It's true. I mean, we are getting close to lunchtime. I can see people shifting in their chairs. We should start wrapping up now. Final comments, takeaways from this conversation.
So maybe since we talked about innovation, and just to close it up, we have this assumption that innovation is being creative. That's easy shortcut. For the innovation process to be very successful, you need different skill set at different stage. You need to be creative, but you need to be very analytical. You need to be emotional, follow your gut feeling. You need to be critical in this idea, is this idea innovative, or is this going to bring us to the next level? And likewise, in this process, you need different skill sets. This is where your diversity, because some culture might be more naturally analytical, while others might work more on their gut feeling. Combining all this will spur this innovation process, because everyone will play its role, so that at the end of the day, what comes out as a solution within the supply chain or even in the product area is robust, proof, and successful on the market.
Thank you, Roxanne. Bianca?
So from an AIG perspective, I was saying we look at it as a business strategy. Our three key areas of our business strategy is risk, growth, and profitability. So we're an insurance company. Risk is really, really important to us. So we minimize risk through diversity by having multiple trains of thoughts and ideas in the room and challenging risky behavior. And we are AIG, you guys remember 2008, so we are trying to avoid decisions that were made by a group that were extremely connected and similar. If you think about growth, we grew outside the US much more than we are growing in the US. So we need to have localized experience, we need to be in touch with our market and our customer. At the same time, we continue to be a one AIG, so a multinational company competing with local companies. We're not transforming ourselves into local companies, so there is a line of knowledge transfer there through diversity. And the last one is profitability, and we didn't really touch about it, but of course, profitability through products and services and marketing that is diverse and is inclusive, but also through supplier diversity. So supplier diversity is something that we have currently in the US and the UK. We're trying to bring it into Asia. We are looking for actually associations that have criteria around supplier diversity, which is something that is lacking here. But we save a huge amount of cost in our procurement through suppliers who are diverse. We are actually aiming to have 10% of our total procurement global budget for diverse suppliers. And that's a big chunk of money that we save, and then we also invest. So we are looking through diversity in those three key areas, and I think it's a good strategy.
Thank you, Bianca. Diana, final thoughts.
Okay, my final thoughts, I would say thoughts is really something I want to share, and I want to leave you with something to think about, all right? And it's really more to what we have, I think in the earlier session, they talk about knowledge management, and I think one gentleman talks about, trust of a person, not a company, not an organization, and how to relate this back to, age diversity. Now, why so? Because we talk a lot about knowledge management. And this thought just come to me during the discussion is that, why are there, I'm not sure about your companies, but is there any organization that really have a policy to bring back people who has retired? All right, to really have this kind of knowledge, retaining the knowledge and the customer experience that they have. Today I find that not many organizations has that, and it's really something that to think about. I give you a real example. We had a staff who retired. He's quite of a management level, and after that he came to us informally, telling us that, hey, the competitor so and so asked me to go be a consultant. So this question comes to us. So does it mean that people who retire, if we don't retain them, then our knowledge could have led to our competitor? Think about it. Companies spend a lot of money to get consultants to do this study and that analysis. Now, why can't we have these retirees coming back, working part-time, whatever? Because money to them is not that important. Of course, you have to pay them, but it's really they want to still be engaged in the workforce. So just some points that for you to think about. All right?
Thank you, Diana.
Yeah, but just on reflection, I think I said my thing, but I think everyone in this room is privileged. They've either got a university degree or been brought up, and it's not representative of the supply chain workforce, as I understand it. So I don't think that we should template on our ideals or our view that the average working person doesn't have a degree, is not financially well off, doesn't have a choice of 6 jobs or whatever, in greatest respect. And I think that diversity, and I think you're right, it's got to be simple, it's got to be passive, it's got to be ingrained in the organisation. But I'm just cautioning everyone not to do it on the elite, the less than 1% of the workforce. And we should consider the other 99 and how they think and how they have their thoughts around diversity and inclusion.